Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The pharmacist shortage. Is it true? I want to talk about it, and I want to try to do my best to not get mad. In recent months, there have been a bunch of articles talking about pharmacy, workforce problems, the fact that we have a shortage, the fact that pharmacists can't seem to hire pharmacies, and they're closing even though they have people to work at these jobs. There's walkouts. What is going on, and what is the media and lots of news articles, what are they focusing on? So I read a recent article the other day and did a live stream about this Chicago business review about what is going on in pharmacy, and I got pretty livid. So what are these articles saying? In short, these articles are talking about a pharmacist shortage and that there's consequences for it. There's these things called pharmacy deserts where pharmacies and pharmacists aren't available to places in rural areas. And there aren't enough students coming in to fulfill the market demand for the next generation. And there's a ton of jobs being posted, and it's increasing from 2022 to 2023. This is a crisis, and it demands more public awareness, more access to healthcare, and this is all a problem. This isn't the full story. And here is my argument, okay, piece by piece. Yes, there are pharmacy deserts. Second, there isn't a shortage of pharmacist supply right now. And third, and most importantly, there is a larger professional problem going on in pharmacy, and it is dysfunctional workplaces and demands. Okay, let's break this down. So the alarm bells are ringing in academia and pharmacy corporations. They're having problems, and the last couple of years have really signified this. Corporations have totally shifted. You see, history lesson, before the pandemic, before 2020, there were too many pharmacists, and that's what everyone was saying. And jobs were getting 50 to 100, sometimes 200 applicants. And everyone was crying about all of these pharmacy schools and how they're producing so many pharmacists every year. Now the narrative has totally switched. So these pharmacy corporations, these retail chains, and some of the major hospital systems have been having to provide sign-on bonuses in order to entice people to come to these jobs, and that's very expensive. There's reports of being upwards of $50, $70, even $100,000 in order to take a pharmacist job. That's a huge switch. We haven't seen that since the early 2000s and late 90s. The saying back then when you graduated pharmacy school was 6 figures in a car. You could work anywhere in the entire United States and get 6 figures and a new car sign-on bonus. Well, things shifted in the early 2000s when we saw an explosive growth of pharmacy schools from around I believe around 70 back in the 1990s to, by the end of the 2010s, 130. And now there are 136, I think, accredited schools. There's more. There's 10 plus unaccredited schools. We saw the average class size back in the 90s go from 7,000 students to now the highest it ever got was 14,000 graduates. And these pharmacy schools are panicking because the number of graduates has decreased significantly. In 2022, there were 13,000 new pharmacy graduates. And in 2023, they accepted only 9,700 into pharmacy school. This is a decrease of 25%-ish. And the academics who claim that this is a shrinking talent pool. But what are the real facts? What's really going on here? Well, if you actually look to see, the number of pharmacy school applicants has decreased dramatically. Back in early 2011, there was 112,000 applications to pharmacy school. And in 2020, it dropped to 40,000. 60,000 less applications to pharmacy school over a span of 10 years. And the other problem that these academics and major corporations are trying to point out is that there's a ton of jobs available. According to AACP's workforce survey, they said that 60,000 jobs were created in the first 3 quarters of 2023. This is an 18% increase from 2022. More jobs, about 10,000 more jobs are being put out there. And that's supposed to indicate like a demand of labor that is currently present. And then on top of that, you've got this narrative from pharmacy school saying, well, if there's more jobs and there's less applicants, that's going to create a crisis. And we're going to have all these pharmacy deserts. So my first point here is that this is repeating the same logic and mistakes from the 1999, I believe, congressional report to Congress from a bunch of pharmacists and other, I believe, healthcare professionals that said there will be a pharmacist shortage coming and we have to prepare for it. Ohio has 13 colleges of pharmacy. California has 13. It is insane to see this increase. Now, here's something to note about the congressional report. To my knowledge, and I could be wrong about this, but the people who wrote this thing were healthcare professionals. They were not labor economics experts. They were not. Could be wrong. Someone please call me out, do my fact checking. But I looked at these people and I didn't see someone with like a PhD in economics. Now, interestingly, there's a book. It's called Occupational Labor Shortages. And in this book, they look at that process. They looked at the early 2000s and they were wondering, based on this congressional report, hey, was there actually a shortage? And what they found is actually there was maybe a shortage for like a year, but it was because academia placed a PharmD degree across the board instead of using the bachelor's. So you extend education out a year, you've decreased your talent pool significantly, right? Because it takes another year to finish your degree, another year to enter in the job market. And that wasn't pointed out. And the other aspect that wasn't pointed out in that congressional report was the idea of technology getting better so that pharmacy can actually be more efficient by doing less with more. They didn't anticipate that. And there was not a shortage. This book concludes it. They state as a conclusion in this book, this analysis suggests that although there have been tight labor markets in pharmacy at times bordering on shortages, the tightness peaked about 10 years ago, 1999. And now there appears to be a general adequate supply of workers to meet demands. This was published in 2013. So why do I bring up this boring topic of labor economics? I want to point out here that we are thinking the same way about this shortage. We are thinking about the surface level of what's going on here. We're not digging deep and asking the right kinds of questions. We're saying to ourselves, oh, okay, there's not enough pharmacists, and we need to worry about it, and we need to get more pharmacists in, because otherwise we're not gonna fulfill these jobs, and that's gonna create pharmacy deserts. It doesn't even account for things like the fact that we're not really digging deep into the problem and the lack of technology, because technology and innovation is the thing that's trying to solve these pharmacy deserts. So my second point is that there is not a pharmacist shortage. You could argue that there are shortages in certain sectors within pharmacy, places where it is hard to recruit. But I want to talk about what this actually means. From their point of view, they're saying there's not enough pharmacists. And here's what I would say about that. There's not enough pharmacists who are willing to take crappy jobs. Let's be honest. Why am I making the argument that there's actually not a pharmacist shortage? But there's another deeper problem going on with the workplace and the work environment for pharmacists across the board. What I believe is actually happening is what I think is called a preference mismatch. This is an idea where a worker goes into a workplace and the preferences of what is happening in the workplace don't match what they want for themselves. Look, I'm no detective. I hate escape rooms, okay? I hate trying to figure out how to solve a complex problem. Detective movies, I don't follow. I never really anticipate who's the murderer. But I'm smart enough to see that these articles, the powers that be, are not focusing their attention on the main problem, the thing that is causing all of these other problems. What are these problems? Pharmacists en masse aren't in love with pharmacy. If you look at the report from AACP in 2020, they asked pharmacists this question: do you feel happy at work? 25% of pharmacists said that they did, that they agreed with that statement. 25%, one out of every four. So the rest, 3 out of 4, 75% of pharmacists are like, no, I'm not happy. I'm the Happy PharmD, and I created this company, and it's like, that's sad. That's not good. If people aren't happy and satisfied in the workplace, then you're going to see all sorts of consequences. What are they? If you look up the question, is pharmacy worth it? You'll see, and we have a video about it. You can click and see it there. You'll see that the majority of people in Reddit and on forums are saying overly negative, if not mediocre, medium type things. Like, this is not great. What we're doing is not great. And the data supports this. Pharmacy work environments are so bad that even the pharmacists who are unemployed don't want to get a pharmacist job. According to the AAC report in 2022, 35% of unemployed pharmacists were not seeking employment, or they dropped out of the labor market entirely. That's compared to 15% in the previous report, 2019. 65% of unemployed pharmacists stated that their unemployment was voluntary. They quit on purpose. 2/3 of every unemployed pharmacist is like, I'm done. I don't want to work here. This is driving me crazy. Who knows what their reasons are for quitting? But it's probably the same thing. The work environment stinks. I'm not valued. I'm not supported. It's over demanding workloads. And we don't have proper staffing. According to the same report, 50.8% of pharmacists report a lack of staffing to meet patient needs. Okay, so if you're working a job and you're overstressed, you're overworked, you're trying to do your best, you're trying to save patients' lives and provide great care and help people, but you have so much work that you don't have the support to do it, you will feel inadequate and a failure, and you'll push yourself to the brink where you have to stay late, and you'll argue that you're trying to do what's best for the patient. And people are doing this for months or years, and it's burning them out. Interestingly, this same report doesn't really report a percent of people that are feeling burnout, but the vast majority of them are saying things like, yeah, I'm overworked, I'm stressed out, I am burned out. If you look at the literature, it's 50 to 70% of pharmacists in community, in hospitals, in clinical settings that are burned out. If the majority of people in a profession are unhappy, unsatisfied by their jobs, frustrated with the work environment, they will be telling people about it. They will be telling this next generation, don't do pharmacy because I'm unhappy. You will go into this work environment and you will get burned out. And so that's why we've seen this crazy decrease in the number of pharmacy school applications, and why we see pharmacy school classes across the board decreasing in number. And now everyone's trying to cry out and say, like, whoa, how can that be? If you read this article from PCOM, the dean of the college says, quote, there are rewarding career options available in healthcare for pharmacists. As if that is the convincing argument to make for the majority of pharmacists. As we just said in the report, 75% don't agree with the statement, I am happy at work. Yes, there are great jobs in pharmacy. I've seen it happen. Look at our podcast for stories of pharmacists that get jobs that they actually enjoy. They do exist. But to say this in this context implies we need to convince more people to join the profession. Who cares about the people that are burned out? Who cares about these work environments that are causing people anxiety, depression, burnout, to feel estranged from their families, to feel frustrated all the time by their workplace, to have anxiety on vacations because they know that they have to go into work next week and it's going to be crazy because they haven't been there to do the work. I know these people that are crying wolf have great intentions. Yes, we have problems in pharmacy. Yes, we need to employ and hire and train great people in this profession. And there are great places to work in community, in retail, in chains, in hospitals. And you can disagree with me if you're there now and you're like, no way. But I understand that. And I've seen it. I've talked with thousands of pharmacists over 8 years in my profession as being a career coach and the founder of this company. And I have heard horror stories of people falling asleep on the stairs on the way to their bedroom because they didn't have the energy to get to the bed. I've heard horror stories of people locking themselves in supply closets and crying. And to purport this narrative that there's not enough pharmacists and this is going to cause problems, and it's not telling the full story, guys. Come on. Pharmacists are smart. I'm not that smart. I was not at the top of my class. Heck, I wasn't even really engaged in pharmacy school. But I can see through this. If I can, so can most pharmacists. The problem here is not that you can't fill up your pharmacy school with students. The problem is not that we're going to have pharmacy deserts. You can live anywhere in the United States and you can sign up for Amazon's pharmacy service and have your medicines delivered to you. And of course, there's caveats to why that can't happen or why that's not true. Really? That's the problem you're going to try to focus on? Why are we not looking at this? Fill me in, academia. Fill me in, associations. We have a problem with the workplace. It's been this way for over 25 years. Why are we not thinking that maybe if we fix the work environment, we fix workload demands, we hire great people, we have happy pharmacists? It's possible. 25% of them said that they're happy. So why can't we just do more of these things? Why can't we focus that? Why can't we create policies and legislation that focus on creating supportive work environments, training up leaders that know how to handle conflict, that know how to listen to their people? I think this article in particular is academia quivering in their boots about this problem, because if they don't have enough students, they can't keep running the cash cow that is pharmacy, academia. They are getting tens of thousands of dollars, get a degree, that the vast majority of jobs that are available are jobs that this next generation doesn't want. If you look at any statistical data about the next generation entering in the workforce, they don't want to work at a job where they're pushed to the brink of crying. They don't want a job where they're yelled at for not meeting metrics. And when you have that kind of group of people coming into the workforce, you will have people complaining about the work environment and telling others, don't do pharmacy. If you want to fix this problem, fix the system. How do we fix this narrative? I don't know. I'm not a politician. Love them or hate them, they're really smart at influencing public opinion. I don't have that power or knowledge or how to change this narrative. But here's what I would say. Those pharmacists that are out there, you exist. There's 330,000 of you. The vast majority of you care about your work. You care about patients. You want to help people. You out there, you can change the system. You have a voice. Even if it's something as simple as signing a petition, calling your state representative, calling your senator, leaving a message, talking about these problems and what it's causing. We need more whistleblowers in pharmacy. Here's a podcast episode about whistleblowing. Take a listen to it if you ever think like, hey, there's a problem here and we're potentially harming patients. Check it out. We need people to engage with our associations. And associations, we need you guys to band together. We have so many stinking associations that are all siloed off, caring about different niches of pharmacy. We need you guys to work together. We're suffering. We need you to consider biting the hand that feeds and challenging the powers that be so that we can get our profession back, so that we can fight this battle. We need people in policy and bureaucracy and fighting these political battles. We need help. We need you to work together and stop this siloed stuff. The bigwigs are panicking. The bonuses was proof of that. We need help. And for you pharmacist out there that's watching this, my encouragement to you is to demand more for yourself. You deserve it. You are a doctorate level professional who is brilliant and smart. Let's face it, the majority of people in this world cannot do what you do. You are hyper intelligent. You have a doctorate degree or the equivalent of that, you bachelors that are still practicing. Leave toxic work environments. Bet on yourself. I know that the job market seems scary to you, but as the evidence shows, there's a lot of jobs out there. You can get another one. It's not so scary, this world, and you may consider that you have golden handcuffs that keep you tied to a job. Is it worth it? Is the money worth it to you? Is it worth sacrificing your mental health, your physical health, your mental being, heck, your lifespan? We all know the data. We know that stressful work environments over prolonged periods of time decrease your lifespan. And I'm simply encouraging you, is it worth it? Is it worth continuing staying in those environments and not fighting back, not demanding more from your leadership, not putting ultimatums out there? I'm gone if we don't fix this. I know what I'm probably recommending is crazy to most pharmacists because we are stable-driven, rule-following, team-loving profession that guilt ourselves into even thinking that there's something better out there for us. But my charge to you and my hope and my encouragement is, please don't sit idly by just taking these toxic work environments. Life is too short and you have one life to live with what you have right now. I think your parents, your loved ones would want you to be happier in a better work environment. Let me know in the comments where I'm off, what I'm wrong about, and how I need to change what I'm saying here, because I don't see the same problem that everyone else is seeing. Thank you for watching this video. Like, dislike it, comment, talk trash about me. I don't care. Start the conversation, because the more we talk about it, the more focus we can get on creating actual solutions. I don't like that this video was so filled with like my frustrations, but it's what it is. I hope that I inspired you a little bit to think differently about this problem, to look for solutions out there, to change your situation, and to make pharmacy better. So until I see you in another video, please take care of yourself.